going to bring the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting of the town of Simsbury to order. Today is Tuesday, May 26th, 2020, and time is just about 7 o'clock. Let's start things off with Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, I can't share. If someone has a image of a flag, or if someone wants to give me that feature. Host has disabled. Are you the host, Mike?
Mike's muted.
Actually, Laura's the host, but I'll get a flag up right.
Oh, okay, I have it now. There we go. Okay, if everyone would please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Stop and share. Okay, next, roll call. Let's see, today's 5/26. I have a little spreadsheet open here. And when I call your name, please indicate your presence. Holly Bem.
Here.
David Blooming.
Here.
Aaron Levitt-Smith.
Here.
Craig McCormack. Here, got it. Alan Needham.
Here.
William Rice is present. Rich Cortez.
Here.
Julie Eaton. Yeah, she's coming in. I see she's trying to.
Hi, present.
Yep.
Not doing video. All right, thanks.
Yet. And Sean Glenn. Well, we don't have Sean tonight. Okay, so we have a full contingent of regular members, so we do not have to promote alternates at this point. I do appreciate your presence here, and of course, it's important, as I always say, for you to listen because you might be called on to participate the next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bill.
Okay, Julie, or Don. It says Don Eaton. Okay, approval of minutes of the Tuesday, May 12th, 2020 meeting. Alan, are you prepared to lead us through that?
I've got it called up here. Hey, Mike, is there any reason why you can only print one page of the minutes?
I didn't have an issue, Alan.
Right, then it's my something. I have no idea what that's about. Okay, so I've got a virtual image. Okay, for the minutes, May 12th, 2020, looking at page 1. Does anybody have any issues on page 1?
On line 20, I know that there is some mention about the confusion with the time of the meeting later on in the minutes, but maybe put in parentheses after this, due to scheduling confusion.
Yeah, that's good, because there shouldn't be any aspersions.
Right. Holly and Aaron, does that sound good?
It does to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All done page 1, page 2.
Alan, can you go back to page 1? I know I'm not voting on this, but please review line 38. See if you want to make any changes there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Rich.
Yep.
Didn't has a double T.
All right. So a typo, line 38. The word "didn't" is needs to be revised. Good catch.
Right by that. Okay, page 2.
So I have line 68. Mr. Needham's name should be revised to remove the N.
They damn need them. That's what. um, well, we don't want to be here all night. There's a semicolon instead of an apostrophe there. So what? All right. I thought I had something, but I guess not. All right. Page 3.
I have a comment on line 118. Midway through the sentence there, Mr. Glidden recommended if they submit a negative referral, I would like to have the word they changed to the planning commission.
Clearer. Yeah.
So it shall read, Mr. Glidden recommended if the planning commission submits a negative referral, they can ask the zoning commission to consider changes. Yeah, I think that's a little clearer.
Okay. Last page, page 4.
No comments from me.
Well, I know what I was going to ask about. A reference here to the WAZ regulations. I think it said WAZ.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing as the WHO's?
Oh. Right. Should be WHOZ.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
So that's lines 85 and 86. Please change WAZ to WHOZ.
That's what
Workforce Housing Overlay Zone. Yep.
Okay, back to the last page. Anything else there? Okay. You want a motion, Bill? Or you want to make it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from the May 12th, 2020 meeting as noted or as amended.
I second that.
That was you, Holly?
Yes.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
I'm abstaining because I missed half the meeting.
Okay, so we have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should abstain too. I apologize.
And I'm going to abstain, Bill, because I wasn't present.
So what happens here, Mike? You have
Enough people to vote.
Yeah, you don't have enough people for the motion to pass.
okay.
So,
Or to be considered.
correct.
All right, so let's put it on the agenda for next time.
Yep.
Then they'll be perfect.
Except you're going to have the same issue unless one of the people, Sean or Rich, is seated. Because if it's the planning commission, you're going to have the same issue until one of them is seated.
Correct. If you have the alternates available who were at that meeting, it won't be an issue.
I mean, Rich is available, but can he weigh in now or no? No. Okay. So you have to wait until one of them is seated. So it
Or
could.
I think you whoever is abstaining could watch the meeting on Simsbury Community TV.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
could do that.
only the first 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
We did catch most of it. We were
Right, you
here
just
for
have
most
to
of
get
it.
the part that you didn't see.
Right. It was it was almost a half an hour.
All right, let's do that as a first shot.
Okay.
And then before I call the meeting to order next time, I'll check with you and see if we'll have sufficient votes
Okay.
to pass the minutes. Okay, so the motion does not carry insufficient number of votes to approve it. So we will add the review and approval of the May 12th minutes to our next meeting, which will be on June 9th. Okay, very good. Moving along. Okay, so next we still have the referral from the Zoning Commission, application number 20-06 of Michael Glidden, CFM CZO, Director of Planning for Comprehensive Rewrite and Reorganization of the Zoning Regulations. So if you remember from our last meeting, we had a motion for a negative referral to this application, dealing with some ambiguity surrounding the workforce housing overlay zone and its distance from Hot Meadow Street. The commission also approved the motion to grant the chairman and the secretary the ability to finalize the wording of the referral. So Alan and I did that. I think we were done on Wednesday, right, Al? And got it to Mike. So Mike, was that delivered to the zoning commission?
So it was, and the zoning commission actually wanted some clarifications in your findings. That's why it's on your agenda tonight.
Okay.
They read your letter and wanted a further explanation on the negative referral. They actually continued the public hearing to their meeting on June 1st.
Mike, I watched a good deal of that meeting. Maybe I got it wrong. I thought you said that you had a pretty good sense of what we were looking for and you were going to write something up for us to look at. No, I got that wrong.
So that was the zoning commission in a potential change to the WAS regulations. I have not had time this week to do that. That's for their commission meeting.
Okay. All right. So what's unclear?
I guess what we wrote, which I thought was pretty clear.
Clear to me. I'm sure.
Was there a copy of this on the Dropbox? I didn't see it.
I'm going to open it up right now.
I didn't see it either.
No. It's not that long. Is
Can
it
we share it? Maybe Bill can share.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Very good. Good.
I think.
Perhaps Mike can be specific about where they felt there was lack of clarity.
They kind of went with the correspondence in its entirety.
Okay.
Pretty much, they said we don't know what they're saying. Right?
And not in order of importance, but I think there was some discussion about the objection to using the future whose developments would be within 750 feet, and they couldn't understand, I guess it was my fault, how that could be unclear, but I think it is unclear. I mean, is the entirety of it within 750 feet or one side of it within 750 feet? I just thought that was unclear. They couldn't see where that's unclear, but I think they're willing to reword that. Is that true, Mike? That's what I heard.
That's actually what I was tasked with by the zoning commission, is looking at that language on the distance requirement for parcels, whether it's going to further clarify that 750 measurement and what does it mean? Is it the entire parcel? Is it a sliver of the parcel, et cetera?
Well, that was unclear. I'm going to stick with that.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, should we go through the 4 items?
Yeah, I'm just I'm opening it up right now. Yeah, you should be coming up on the screen.
Oh,
Okay, referral to Planning Commission of Zoning, referral to Planning Commission of Zoning Commission application 20-6. The Simsbury Planning Commission unanimously voted a negative referral for the above captioned application at its regularly scheduled meeting held May 12th, 2020. The commission found the wording of the proposed regulation, section 8-13G, number 4, to be vague in that it does not specify whether the 750 feet refers to the edge of the site nearest Hot Meadow Street, farthest from it, or some other point. There are no specifics as to placement of the site in, next, or behind, relative to Hot Meadow Street, existing neighborhoods, historic or character places. No distinction is made between the various areas along Hot Meadow Street or whether the site could be on the east or west side of Hot Meadow. No buffers were proposed. There is also concern that only Hot Meadow Street was designated for WHOZ. Hot Meadow Street is the face of Simsbury and therefore should have regulations crafted to protect and enhance it and adjacent areas. Specifically, the commission refers to these sections of the 2017 POCD. Page 5, how we want to grow. Section 8.8, ensure appropriate development of the different areas along Hot Meadow Street. Section 10.1A, residential character. We just kind of highlighted these. We didn't put all the text that's in the POCD. And we say the Planning Commission feels a joint meeting with the objective of agreeing on the wording for the WHOZ portion of the proposed regulation prior to the closing of the public hearing for the application could result in a revision of our referral.
Did they agree to that, Michael?
No.
Why? Why would they not agree to it?
Well,
No, to the meeting. I'm sorry, the joint meeting.
So they can't have a joint meeting regarding an application that's subject to a public hearing right now.
Okay.
That's why.
And I heard somebody express the concern that we're trying to co-write the regulations, which isn't the intent of that at all. I think the intent was simply, well, let's see some language. Oh, yeah, that'll pass. That's what I thought anyway. You agree with that, Bill?
I think we're trying to protect the image of Hot Meadow Street.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't we just tell them that?
There you go.
I did hear somebody say that out of, 122 pages, they're not sure why we zeroed in on one or two lines. And the answer to that is easy, because that was the offending place. Okay. We're supposed to look at all of the submission. And if there's all, which would be ridiculous, all or any part of it that we don't feel is consistent with the goals and objectives, then we have to say it. So we're just doing our job as far as I'm concerned.
And you were quite clear. Hot Meadow Street is the face of Simsbury and therefore should have regulations crafted to protect and enhance it.
Mike, can I ask you a couple of questions that maybe they'll help us move along?
Yeah.
What strictures are there reflected in this revision of the regulations as to where workforce housing can be placed along Hot Meadow Street? What restrictions are there? For example, one I came across was that they have to use public utilities, correct? Water.
Correct.
Okay. So what that would mean that there are places along Route 10 that you couldn't do this because of that stricture, right?
That's correct. Okay. Or places that are adjacent that could be within 750 feet of Route 10 that are not served by public water or public sewer.
Okay. So it would be interesting to know what they are, but so there's a stricture. I mean, if there's a lot of strictures that really limit where this thing goes, that's different than what I thought I was reading. You can put it anywhere you want.
Well, you can apply to have it anywhere, Alan, but then it has to go through the approval process.
Yeah, well, one would assume if the regulations clearly say that it has to have public utilities, then what do you think would happen? They'd go to zoning and they'd say, well, we didn't mean it. I think that would keep somebody from applying. No?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't meet the regs then.
Yeah.
So therefore, you couldn't stop someone for trying something that couldn't meet the regs. They can try it, but the issue would be it's immediate grounds for denial for the fact that it's a parcel, let's say, like you said, that's not served by public utilities. Dead in the water, you cannot proceed.
All right, let me just go through some things. All right, so there are areas along Route 10 that you couldn't do it by the regulation simply because there's no public utilities.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know where those are. I mean, you do. But, I mean, is that a significant stricture or?
I thought it was, there weren't a lot of places, because this came up with another project. What was the project? And that question came up. I think it was a text amendment, your favorite, Alan.
Oh,
and there was something about, there was only one or two places that would pertain to.
Well, I know some areas, okay? There's some areas, I'm not sure where it starts, but I'm going to guess. It starts roughly at Latimer Lane to Avon that I don't think there's public water and sewers. I don't think so. Is that right, Mike?
No,
That's nice to know.
Because 34 Hot Meadow Street and Garden Homes, that's served by Avon Water. So they have public water there and public sewer.
Well, one of their comments was, why are they delineating between east and west side? And that's a great example. Okay, that's the east side of Hot Meadow is quite different than the west side. And not just in terms of public utilities, but in terms of the type of housing you find.
Alan, on Lincoln Lane where I live, we have public sewer and water.
Okay, and where I live, we don't.
Right.
So that stricture isn't full of meaning to me. I mean, there's some places here and there, wherever they are. I mean, if somebody could look at this and say, there's so many strictures in this. For example, we have some language in there that offers some protection to historic buildings that, even if it's kind of broad, but there's nothing like that. It just says whatever within 750 feet means of Hot Meadow. To me, you can put it nearly anywhere except for the one stricture of public utilities. I don't see how our complaint is that it doesn't protect neighborhoods, neighborhood integrity. It doesn't protect the town center.
Mike, I find this letter to be clear. It's puzzling to me that the zoning commission found it unclear. I'm not sure what clarification that they're looking for that to make it clearer. Is this truly a lack of clarity, or is it a little bit of pride that their wording, we didn't find their wording to be appropriate?
They don't like our intrusion into the process.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I didn't see the meeting, but I have a sense that when one looks at this letter, which, as I said, in my opinion, is very clear, I think that's they're hiding behind. They're using that as an excuse.
Do you think we could come up with a sentence or two or three that just bolsters this, saying we're simply looking for language that protects, the usual spiel we've been giving about protects neighborhoods, public buildings, the town?
I'm not, what, Alan, I'm not even clear what do they want? Do they want a response to that? I mean, it's not even clear what they want to me. So Michael, can you explain that? Maybe I'm the only one, but I'm not, because this seems clear, but so are they looking for us to explain again, or are they looking for a new letter? I mean, what are they looking for? So we can give them what they're looking for.
Well, I mean, it's your correspondence as a commission. You could just say the letter stands for itself, or you can do what Alan is suggesting and add a sentence or two and go, that's my clarification.
Okay.
You can do either one of those options.
Mike, one of the things a lot of us are very aware of and are sensitive to is the fact that in the last several years, we have approved projects on Hot Meadow that a number of our fellow citizens, we didn't approve them, but zoning felt violated the character of the town. Is there any sensitivity to this when this is being discussed? Because that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make sure that doesn't happen again. I would think that would be an important objective.
I disagree just a little bit, Holly. I hear what you're saying, but I think what we're trying to do here is find a document that's consistent with what it says in the POC.
Okay.
I mean, that's
same thing also, in my opinion, but yes, you're right.
The end result, probably the same thing.
So do we take this and update it and resend it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank
There
you,
you go.
Bill. There.
I'm ready to do it.
And
Hit the send button.
Bill, I think 10.1A residential, I think residential spelled wrong.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And
there
so is
you go.
character in section 7. Oh, no, it isn't. That's
Yeah.
right.
Here's
I already fixed that one.
here's my suggestion. Some of the other comments that you made. So you tied it to the POCD where you feel it does not conform to the goals and objectives of the 2017 POCD. But some of the comments that we made earlier was, how is that 750 foot mark measured? Is it the beginning of the building? Is it the area where there'll be development? Kind of like getting a clarification. That's kind of why you're saying 700 and this reg is not consistent. I'm just thinking out loud.
It still looks to me like, except for the public utilities, what strictures are there? Are there any other, Mike, besides that?
That's the main issue is going to be public utilities.
Okay, and that's only.
Well, I shouldn't say that. The other thing that will limit it is wetlands and floodplain. Because the site, in order to get the density bonuses, you can't. Wetlands and floodplain are taken out of the equation, so that limits the density if there's a parcel that had floodplain or wetland soils present. But it doesn't prohibit it; it just limits it.
Is it appropriate to send 2 sentences that we're just looking for language that provides some protection for existing neighborhoods? A couple other items?
Bill, what did you take out?
I took out the sentence about having a joint meeting.
Okay.
So, guys, what I'm hearing everyone say is there are 2 points that we bring up in this document. We seek clarification in regulation on how 750 feet will be measured, and then how does the regulations protect neighborhood integrity? Points we keep bringing up.
I don't know if I'd phrase it, how does it protect neighborhood integrity? Because that's.
How does it protect residential character? I mean, I'm looking at the POCD wording.
How does this regulation deal with existing neighborhoods, maybe?
I think the most concrete point is the 750 feet. In the second or the third paragraph here where it refers to the 750 feet, we could put a parenthetical and use some of the words that we've used tonight. Is the 750 feet the starting point, the ending point? Is it one side? You just use some words to be more specific about the suggesting how to be more specific about the 750.
Well, so Alan, I'm going to ask you that this 750 foot requirement. What is it that concerns you about that? Is it the fact that it could land a WHOZ in an existing neighborhood?
Yes, that's part of it. But also, I mean, the language is unclear. Okay, like David just said, I don't know where it starts, where it finishes. It could be, David, the outer edge nearest Route 10 is 750 feet, and it could go into the town acres. That's possible.
And that's my point, is I think we could return the letter with slight modification, clarifying this 750 foot point. That seems to be one issue of where lack of clarity. And then, as Holly said, we could also, if we wanted, to say, suggest wording that would protect existing neighborhood character.
Okay. Yes, you could say that. Another way to say it is, what language is there in this that speaks to, how about that? Speaks to neighborhood character, preserving neighborhood character.
Preserve. Okay, good.
I think just adding two small things like that will, they will recognize that we heard them and they're in their, that they were not happy with this. And then we modified it to make it more specific. And here it is back. Because I think it's 99, in my opinion, it's 99% there. I can see that there could be some, if you want to be picky, you could say that paragraph is not specific enough. But we were deliberately not trying to write the regulation. That's their role, and we're not trying to usurp that particular role. So it seems to me that by adding some parenthetical clarification, we can meet that need.
I don't know if I'd rewrite this letter and send it again. I think I'd just send an addendum.
All right, well, in whatever form makes the most sense.
So, Mike, in terms of neighborhood character, what other language is there in the revision that speaks to the nature of what can be built and surrounding areas? Is there other stuff? Maybe that covers it.
So, Alan, I'm thinking about this. Yeah. The existing regulations don't have any restriction on where, in town, a WHOZ can be landed.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were the planning commission, I would say, look, we're trying to preserve as much of the existing neighborhoods as possible by limiting to within, to 750 feet of Hot Meadow Street, the location where you can try to land the WHOZ.
Mm. Well, I think that is exactly what they're trying to do. And I go back to my first point, which is why pin it on Hot Meadow Street and not some other street in town?
Yeah.
Or if it was Westledge, why have the neighbors in Westledge deal with this to the exclusion of any other neighborhood? That's a question I have too. That's not written in the POCD, by the way.
And it's not in this letter.
That's right. I guess that's why I feel that I'd like to see some language that restricts where it can be put on Route 10. Because every other part of town doesn't ever have to worry about it. So why does the entirety of Route 10, except for the public utility business, why does the entirety of Route 10 have to be a target? So there's nothing to keep it from going in the town center, which, by the way, maybe that's a good place to put stuff, along Iron Horse or something. Maybe that's a good place for some housing like this. And then the other thing is the numbers are kind of weird too. Mike, if somebody put in workforce housing, it's the usual thing where a certain percentage has to be more affordable. Is it deed restricted?
That's correct.
Okay. But what would the numbers work out to be? Even the deed restricted homes would be 300,000, wouldn't they probably?
Yeah, because of the income, the median income area.
So I'm saying some workforce housing, maybe along Iron Horse or something like that. Maybe that feeds the downtown area, puts some feet on the street. But I just would like to see some language like what will be considered in terms of the appropriateness of a location. You know, does it matter about historic buildings? You could say something as broad as location, proximity to historic buildings must be considered.
So Alan, playing devil's
That's part of the neighborhood character. I mean, I think those are pretty good words. You know, how does a regulation preserve neighborhood character? We keep saying the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. You're
Yeah, but it sounds to me like we're trying to write it. And if that's what their concern is, you just mentioned language. What you want to see is language. I don't know. Does it need to be more broad than that when we're saying, please consider? I don't know.
Well,
I don't think we should be putting in here what we think language should be in the regs, because that's
agree, but they return this saying it's too broad.
Well, my gut feel is we're not having really much luck making this any more specific.
No.
I am happy with the way we submitted it the first time. If they choose not to take it into consideration, that's their prerogative.
Mike, they're going to ask you, what are these guys thinking? And they're watching this now, by the way, I'm sure, but some of them. Can you just informally pass along? We just wanted to see some language that says if you put it along Route 10, you have to consider neighborhood character. That doesn't appear elsewhere in the regulation.
Do you have me?
Yep, now we do.
Sorry, Alan, you were talking and my internet went silent on me.
Okay. So is there, I like Aaron's point. The more we write about this, the more prescriptive we are in terms of their language. I don't want to do that. That's not our job. But it is our job to look at this and say, hey, you know what? That particular section seems to be inconsistent with the POC. So, but can you just pass along? All you guys got to do is put in some language that shows some sensitivity to neighborhood character and give it some thought. Are there any places along Route 10 that you don't think this belongs? And put in some language. He's writing it down. That's a good sign. And put in some language that says there is a difference between east and west, and the POCD makes that clear.
Alan, I have to say though, the paragraph that said there's concern that, with the WAS, and you guys said Hot Meadow Street is the face of Simsbury, and therefore should have regulations crafted to protect and enhance it and adjacent areas. I don't know how much clearer you can be.
I agree with Aaron.
We didn't rewrite. We didn't say what to put in. We're saying this is what we think, that it should be crafted to consider this. I'm not sure why they don't think that that's clear.
Well, they're not fluent in the POCD. I guess you can argue that they don't have to be. I'm not fluent in the zoning regulations either, but
you don't have to be fluent.
Question in the meeting: what's this east side, west side? What's the difference? Well, there is a difference. The POCD makes it clear for a portion of Route 10 that the east side and west side are to be treated differently. So they just don't know that.
Right, but you and I don't think it has to be that prescriptive. My point is, you say they should be crafted to protect and enhance it and adjacent areas. That we gave them our feedback. I think that's really clear.
I agree with Aaron.
Maybe the 750 thing they didn't quite understand. I get it. I could see how they might question, but all you said was, this is what we think. We said no because there wasn't enough in there to protect the character and in the city center. I mean, in the center of town and So I don't know. And then we say specifically, we refer to these areas, residential character, neighborhood integrity. I mean, you don't even have to go to the PCD to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the big question is.
Bill and I thought it was clear, and
Okay.
we used the discussion we had in our last meeting. So Bill, is the question, do we try and add a little clarity, or we just tell them, seems clear to us?
Yeah, I'm not inclined to change it. And Mike can explain to them, that really the crux of it is protecting the character of the existing neighborhoods.
Yeah. And there are restrictions in the POCD about Route 10, and this doesn't say a word about it. How about that? That's pretty simple.
I'm happy with this letter as it stands.
Well, that's 3, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's clear as well.
Okay.
I know we've the last 10 minutes or so focused on the conversation around, the community character and neighborhood character. But I think the point about being specific about how you measure 750 feet is important as well. If we think that's vague, that's material.
So you would agree then that saying that it has to be within 750 feet is unclear?
Yeah. Sure.
I think
Right. From
I
what
don't know how
point?
they don't think that's unclear.
Okay. So good conversation. Sounds like we're all in agreement that there's no need to revise and resubmit it. Mike took some notes. He can carry that along to the zoning commission and let them chew on it. We made our statements pretty clear to me. I can understand maybe why they thought we were picking on the workforce housing overlay zone and the 750 feet, but that's what moved us to having an objection.
It's not bizarre to me to find a line or two or paragraph and point that out specifically. Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, I think so.
I do.
Yes, Alan, I agree. And actually, I know I'm not alone. We all hear feedback as to some of the things that have gone into town, right? That was approved, and so, I take that feedback seriously. And this is a way, Alan, and I think you as well, how do you ensure this? So, I hope they hear our point that people have complained that things have been approved in areas that people don't agree with. I think this speaks to that.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, it speaks to what the statute says our job is.
Yep.
All right, Mike, we're not going to change anything. So the notes you took, I hope are sufficient to satisfy the zoning commission.
I'll provide the verbal report.
Yep.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Mike, last time you had mentioned that we should be prepared for an open space referral.
So that will be on your agenda at your next meeting on June 9th,
Okay.
along with a preliminary discussion for an application.
Okay.
So we have business in 2 weeks.
Yep. Any correspondence or anything, Mike?
No, we were waiting. Last week we were supposed to get copies of the new flood maps. Were supposed to come out. The feds did not send them out. So I'm expecting either this week or next week we should be getting those. So just as an FYI, if anyone is interested, there'll be new flood maps.
Yep. Okay.
Mike, on a slightly different point, I presume you're getting the regional referrals that are coming. That as the representative, I'm getting those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading them, but I'm not. From what I've read, I'm not being asked to do anything. I can report that back to the Planning Commission as a whole. Or is that something that if you see something in one of those that affects Simsbury, that you would bring that up?
That's usually how I handle them.
Okay.
When something pops up that's substantial, share it with the commissions, either this commission and or zoning commission.
Okay. I'm reading them, but I'm not reporting back on them.
Yep.
Mike, I've got a question. The Dropbox, do we forever leave everything in that, or do we clean the house once in a while?
We clean house once in a while.
Because it's too long to find stuff.
Yeah.
Old minutes, I mean, that's available elsewhere. So
Yes.
is that not?
We'll do it. We'll start a spring cleaning and straighten it up.
Okay, great.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Mike, are we, and I know you mentioned this 2 weeks ago, and I apologize, is the plan to do these meetings virtually through the summer? Okay.
So the executive order from the governor is until further notice, we cannot meet. We're still, the ban on gatherings of more than 5 people stands. Maybe, let's say July, we can possibly meet. But as of now, plan on the month of June, we're going to be meeting digitally.
Okay. And then we meet in July and then don't meet in August. So it would make sense we would do it in July as well. Possibly. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, it's gonna depend on the governor reissuing a new executive order that will permit us. But
And Aaron, let's just remember last year, or maybe it was earlier this year it was last year when we were setting up the schedule. We agreed on one August meeting.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, Bill.
Yeah, August 25th.
Yeah.
Did you get your motion for adjournment?
I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Aaron moved. Can I have a second?
Dave?
Dave,
second.
Dave, okay. Any discussion on the motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously, and we